So thank you for answering. So I think I should probably give a short introduction to Conda. But first, I want to show you our documentation pages. So what I'm going to show is essentially our documentation on Conda. So I'm not sure if it's been mentioned earlier in the class, but we have a documentation. It's called documentation sigma2.no. And in the documentation, if you are working around something, what I like to do is search for it. And now we're going to talk about Conda. So I'm going to search for Conda. And we're going to talk about installing software with Conda. And I'll remove the highlighting and we can begin. So for those of you that are experts on Conda, you basically know everything we're going to do. I'll show how we use Conda differently than maybe most people. So for those who don't know what Conda is, it's a distribution where you can install dependencies like Python or Python packages or even R or other packages. And it gives you a lot of control if you can use Conda to install things, because then you don't have to ask support to install modules that you need but are not available. So it gives you a lot of freedom as a user if you can use Conda. So in our systems we have Anaconda and Miniconda, where Miniconda is just like a more bare bones version of Conda. So I'm going to show you how to set it up, and I'll follow this documentation. I can link it to you if you want to go there yourself. I just have to find the chat. So this is our documentation to Conda. So the first thing we need to do, it's related to what we talked about earlier. We have to load Anaconda. So a nice trick is to purge the packages we have so that we don't get any surprises that we have things loaded that we forgot about. And then it's a good idea to check what Conda or tool chains we have available. Well, let's see what happens here. And I tend to, so on Fram, we only have Anaconda available. We don't have Miniconda, but that's fine. I tend to choose the newest one. I don't know if there's any point on choosing an older version, unless you want to reproduce something someone else did, and then you want to use the version they used. So I load Conda. And if it's the first time, if you've never done it on our systems before or your own computer, you probably want to use write conda init bash if you're using a bash script, and then reload your shell. If you're using something else, you have to replace bash with your appropriate shell name. So next, to create a Conda environment. So after loading Conda or Anaconda, as I've done here, the process is in principle the same as if you go to the Conda documentation. So if you're one of those that has used the Conda and are an expert, you can just do what you're used to. But at some point you'll find yourself in trouble. And the reason is that Conda environments take up a lot of space. So if you do usage, and of course the formatting could be better, but this is my home directory and it has like 20 gigabytes of data in home, which this is where things will install if the Conda environment will install if you install it like you're used to on your personal computer. But 20 gigabytes is not that much. So at some point, nothing's going to work, and you will write us at support and say, oh, my Conda environment isn't working. So with our documentation and this talk, I'm trying to avoid that happening in the future. It's fine that you contact us, but it can be a bit annoying when things suddenly stop working just because you don't have storage place. So the way we make, so instead of making a normal Conda environment, we make a shared environment to a file, and where in general we recommend putting the Conda environment is under your project folder. So I'm going to do that here. So first I'll make a directory -p. Actually, I don't know what the -p stands for. I just learned about it from documentation. Cluster projects and then
the -p is for that it takes the full path and creates the full path that you write.
Okay, thank you. So
if you don't have a -p, it will only create a part of the path that you have specified.
Okay, thank you. So
if the maternal folder doesn't exist and you use the -p, it creates it. But if you don't use -p, it fails.
Okay.
So if you want to create two folders, one inside the other, you can use -p and do it in one step instead of doing it in two steps.
That's interesting. Thank you. So I'll make that folder. So now, so the project we are using for this course is NN987. And it's normal, or at least I like to put my username for the folder I make where I put the Conda environment, so that the others on the project know who made it, and if I do something stupid, they know who to yell at. So I'll make the folder. And then the next step is to create the Conda environment. So I do a Conda create -p cluster projects NN9987K, so which is the environment, the project for this class. Then I made my username there, and let's do my env, which we'll put the environment here. Oh wait, I want to specify the Python version. Just from my experience, life tends to be easier if you're going to work with Python, at least, to just specify the Python version when you make the environment. Let's see what happens when we install everything, and this should take a few seconds. So in the meantime, let's check. Okay, so it's not a snake, Conda. It's probably named after snake. Then, yeah. So someone's commenting that Mamba is better. I think there are many options to Conda that are probably better. So part of the reason why you might want to use Conda is it makes it easier for others to reproduce your work. And there are limitations on how Conda does this, and there are packages that are do these things faster, and the package managers, or I don't know the correct name, that are more explicit in the versioning, so reproducibility is even better. But today we'll cover Conda. But if you want to use something else, that's great. Conda is very common to use, so it's normal. So then to activate the environment. So first, let's do a which Python that Bjørn talked about earlier. Of course, never mind. Okay, but let's look at this path. Now we have Python from Anaconda, and let's activate this one. And if you do a which Python again, we see that we have a Python version that's inside my virtual environment, and we can install more Python packages to this if we want, or we can install other kinds of packages to the environment. So this is the simplest way of how to create a Conda environment on our systems, or it's a basic setup. And the take-home message I hope everyone can write down is that save the Conda environment to a folder in your projects, in your project area, instead of the home, because the 20 gigabytes fills up really fast with a Conda environment. How are we doing on time now?
You have 10 minutes left.
So the rest I want to just show you the documentation we have here. So first, the take-home message was everything should work as it does on the official Conda documentation. But if you use Conda, try to install it to a project directory instead of your home directory. Conda is really nice. In general, you can install all kinds of packages. And the most used channel where you can get packages is Conda Forge. But for specific cases, you also have, for instance, BioConda, that I'm guessing is very interesting for biologists. And I would think there are others available. So depending on what you want to do, Google is your friend. Ask Google, okay, I need this. I need to install this chemistry package. Then Googling my favorite chemistry package, Conda installation, and then you will probably get a guide as the one we have here with a channel and a package name. Another thing that can be very useful is that, so here we did things very step by step. We can also specify what we call an environment file, which is very useful if you want to share your project with external collaborators, where you specify the environment you're working on, the name, which channels your packages should be installed from, and you can add dependencies. Then you specify the packages you want in your environment. So in principle, then you would make this file such that everyone can just do Conda install from this file, and then they should be able to run your project without any issues. And here we have instructions on how you can do this. And you can Also, if you have an environment, which you know this is working, our software is working on this project, in this environment, you can save the environment to a file that can be installed like we've done it here. You can also use pip, which I assume some of you are familiar with. But it's recommended to try to stay with Conda. It makes, so if you're working in a Conda environment, it makes reproducibility easier, but not everything is available on Conda, and then you can cheat a bit and use pip. And we also have documentation on how you can use Conda in your run scripts. So take-home message is we have documentation on this. It's excellently written, if I might say so myself. And try to install things to install the Conda environment to the project area instead of your home directory. Other than that, I think that was what I wanted to cover today.